Hello, world. Welcome to Rex Arthur TV. This is the Rex Arthur Show where we discuss LGBTQ issues with an LGBTQ approach and an LGBTQ perspective and a humanistic approach in an LGBTQ plus planet where we are all belong to the one of the letters in the sexual alphabet, one or two of the letters in the 10 letter sexual alphabet, LGBTQIAAP. And today we are doing a very philosophical video, which is called, whenever we do philosophical videos, we call it River of Thought, Love of Fikir. Much as we have a philosophical channel called QSTPS, Query in Science, Theology, Philosophy, and Spirituality. Uh, Rex Arthur still continues in philosophy because I'm an amateur philosopher. I love studying life. I love studying wisdom. I love studying the systems of the world. And that's what makes me a philosopher, an amateur, because a real philosopher has to go to university and has graduated to be a philosopher. And then that's now a true philosopher. But I'm an amateur. Amateur philosophers, you can read philosophy but and understand it, but you don't have a degree to declare that you are one. So, but you can still be one. So that's what I do with my most of my life, philosophy, biology. That's why I talk about all of those things. It's because I am not. I'm an amateur. I read. I love reading, and I've read very many things, and that's what I do. But I'm not paid. I don't earn a living from reading those things, and that's why I'm a social media personality. I have a channel, and I share what I read to whoever has time to listen to them, and that's how I do it. So even media practitioners, you see, they have to. The reason why some countries were complaining about YouTube and very many social media platforms is that when people post things, videos or statements they write, they are not licensed to do that. And I disagree with that view because you don't have to be licensed. The Constitution gives you freedom of speech. You're free to say anything you want in any way you want to do it. And so the social media platforms are for empowering uh, non-licensable people, and this is why you don't have to attack people who are on YouTube. You don't have to attack people who are on Facebook. You don't have to attack people who are on Twitter, Periscope, all of these social media platforms. Let them say what they want to say. Um, they don't really have to get a license from the government to say it. And then the mainstream media, that is the one that is powerful. It's still more powerful than the social media. Reason being, they are empowered by the state. They have a license from the state. I don't have a license from the state. So what does that mean? It means I am what do you call it? I am a bit weak. I cannot the state I cannot use state land or state powers to inseminate information. But that's not my goal. If my goal is to really reach the people of the state I live in, the country I live in, then I will go to the state office and look for a license. And that's what I'll do. This is why mainstream media stations have YouTube channels. It's because they already have a license from the state, so they are not affected. They are more powerful than social media. Social media is not powerful, is not more powerful than mainstream media for one reason: they are not licensed. The media practitioners are not licensed by the state to convey information. However, they are allowed by the constitution. So social media is a constitutional machinery that allows everybody to say what they want to say, including those who are licensed by the state. And I think it should remain that way. Now, if you are a non licensed purveyor of information and you want to get a license, then you should and hire, go and get what do you call it, a license from the state. Now you have to understand the reason. Why is I'm so sorry the video has diverted. But let it divert for a few minutes. Why is it that people don't get licenses for to convey information? I mean, it should be so easy. It's because conveying information to very many people, mass communication, is extremely expensive and extremely hard. Um, have you seen the television masts and the network masts? All of these things, people putting up satellites and all. Do you think it's just $1? It's a lot of money. So for you to set up a system that I want to share information to people, and you have bought satellites, you have bought masts, all of these things, you think the government will just tell you, okay, just pay $1? No, they will tell you to pay a lot of money for that. And I think social media, in my view, was actually a platform to empower and people who have poor people who have ideas. Basically, it's not only to empower poor people; it's just to empower everybody, and not necessarily have to run to the state to be empowered. And of course, social media is also going through a lot of challenges in terms of regulation, and it's because of its inception. When it started, it did not start, it's not the government that created social media. It is human genius, humans who are citizens of countries that created social media. So because of that, it's not a government thing. It has its own, it's another government on its own. So when the governments need to like when the time Trump became president, he had to meet with the tech gurus of America and the world, because they needed to have an understanding with the government of America concerning social media, because Trump is actually a social media president. He's the first president. Of course, Obama was also voted because of social media, but partly. But Trump's presidency was basically fought on social media. That's why Cambridge Analytica suffered the death it suffered, because the game was they played on manipulating on the emotions of the voters in America. They knew the details of all the voters. They knew what adverts to put for them. So basically, it was a very dangerous game of it was manipulating social media to influence election, and that's why Cambridge Analytica had to shut down. uh, it's very important, and it was the whole issues about social media, and it's not yet done. Now Cambridge Analytica is closed, and the world governments are still trying to find a way of helping and restoring the relationship between social media and mainstream media. Now, as I've talked about this, I think I'm going to title it a different video, a title, different name. Yes, we'll call it social media versus mainstream media. Now, what you need to know: social media and mainstream media. Mainstream media is licensed by the state. You hear? Social media is licensed. They are, of course, they license their media practitioners by themselves without state interference, because Facebook, YouTube, and all of these guys are virtual companies that do not need uh, they do not need state intervention. That's what you need to understand about social media. That's the weird thing about social media. Because even in my other videos, I used to say, why does Facebook not have offices in Africa, China? Why does Twitter not have offices in China and Africa? It's because they are virtual companies. They have overridden territorial borders. It is satellite information, computer technology and computer information technology and computer communication is transborder. It is even it's out of the borders. It's global. So you don't need to build offices for somebody to engage to connect to the computer. It's like a telephone call. Do you need to call the government that you want to call somebody who is in India and you are in Germany? So when you call that person in India, if telecommunication was controlled by the governments, fully controlled by the governments, then when I'm in Germany, for me to call someone in India, I have to call the government of India and say I want to call this person. He's in India. Can you give me permission? Give me a license. I want to call the person in India. Then the government says, okay, we are giving you a license. Call that person. Then after giving me the license, I call that person in India. You see, that is what you call communication regulated by the government, and that is not it is very bad communication, because why should I go through somebody to get to somebody, or why should I get permission to talk to somebody, and yet I can talk to them directly through a telephone call or a wireless communication. So what happened is telecommunication went past government control, and it is even the government. So actually, this is why social media is even more powerful than mainstream media, because unlike mainstream media that is local and very controlled by the government, social media is global and not controlled by any government. So this is the power of social media. That's why if you look at the picture Trump had with the tech gurus, it was a meeting of the globalists versus the nationalists. Because Trump is the representative of a nationalist. Governments are naturally nationalistic. But the internet and social media, they are naturally globalist. There is no a social media app that is nationalist is a very weak app. Like what happens in China. China has a local Facebook app. I've forgotten his name in Chinese. They have a local Facebook app. So that app can only work in China. It can't work outside China. Now, but the rest of the telecommunication platforms, they are global, meaning even if I'm in Australia, I can watch this video that's coming from Kenya. Why? Because telecommunication is global. And why is it global? Because of satellite communication. All the satellites in the world, most of the satellites in the world are in outer space. They are outer, they are extraterrestrial. They're in heaven. For those of you people who still who believe in heaven, the satellites are in heaven. So information from your office in Facebook, like if you have a global TV station, whatever you do in that station, it's beamed to the satellite outside, and then that satellite shoots and beams the information to other satellites in that country that pick that feed. Then those satellites receive that feed, and then they transmit the information to televisions or to any telecommunication outlet in those countries. That's why you have Etisalat, you have all of these satellite companies that beam information from very many communication centers to countries that have receivers of those communications. This is why everything, police, the armies, and the science, the NASA, all of these people must have now. In fact, it's even reminding me of a very famous Christian TV station I used to watch called TBN. And of course, it's not a bad channel. You know, these days now we've become very liberal. There are some good things you can hear from it. I liked it. I still like it. They bring some good musicians, and sometimes there are some pastors you can try and listen to. Of course, I don't listen to homophobic pastors. I have no time for those ones. I listen to pastors who can bring hope. Like Joel Osteen, I thought he would be a very nice guy to gay people. He's very encouraging. He shouldn't be attacking gay people by all means. With all that positivity, then you attack gay people. I mean, I think then you're mad. You have to be because you can't be that positive and hate a gay person. You can't. So I like very positive pastors, people who encourage people, tell them about life, and then they love everybody. Those are my pastors. So sometimes I don't listen to pastors who are very judgmental. No, those ones are not my type. So anyway, the TBN founders, I remember one time when I was watching when I was young, and they used to call the satellites angels. So because TBN is a global Christian network that its job was to hasten the coming of Jesus Christ. So by communicating the gospel of Jesus Christ. And so the owner, Paul Crouch, said whenever he would launch a satellite in space, he would say that that's our angel. He's just gone to send a message to India, to send a message to Saudi Arabia, and all of these countries the Christians wanted to reach. So all of those satellites, they called them angels, and it's a very good word to use, because an angel is a messenger. It sends messages. Very important subject. This was even becoming spiritual, so we'll have to do it in QSTPS. So the angel sends you a message from God. Now let's go back to satellite communication. I have a TV station in Texas, but I want the information from Texas to go to Gambia. Now, what do? I sit down, I launch a satellite, and the satellite I launch uh, should have a receiver. There's another satellite it should have in Angola. I mean Gambia. Let's say Gambia, Texas, Gambia. So Gambia has a satellite that is waiting to receive information from the satellite that's in outer space that I've put. Now, and the satellite that's in outer space is connected to my TV station in Texas. So I am now talking on the TV in Texas. This TV station is connected to the satellite that's in outer space. And then this outer space beams information to the world, and in Gambia they have a satellite that can pick, because when satellites return information to the earth, what you need are pickers. I'm sorry, I'm using very basic I'm remembering my basic understanding of satellite communication. Very basic, so I'm really trying to make it look so simple. So even the words so the satellites in Gambia will pick up the information from the satellite outer space that is from Texas, that's connected to the Texas TV station. Then the people in Gambia who have set boxes that can get the information that are connected to the satellite in Gambia. They watch what is happening in Texas at that time, at the same time. So you see the power of telecommunication, and this is what has been happening all over the world. Now, so satellite communication came, and maybe in the next video we'll do one day, not today, it's very complicated. We will do the hierarchy of communication. You must understand, social media did not start today. Communication, human communication, did not start today. It has been evolving. And the moment electricity was found, not invented, electricity was not invented. Electricity is natural. Let me tell you, electricity, the secret, it is natural energy. Yes, it is hidden. That's the beauty about electricity. It was not invented, it was discovered. People knew electricity is real when they studied lightning, but they wanted to capture that energy, that power. And then when they started understanding energy, positive, negative, neutral energy, then they decided to find out that behavior on Earth. And that's how they got to know it. Because lightning causes fire. So for you to understand electricity, you need to understand lightning, and then you need to understand fire. Now, when you understand those things, you know fire is a process. Fire is not a thing. It is a process. It's combustion of gases happening. That is what fire is. And electricity is also not a thing. It's a process. It's charges. And in fire, fire is similar to electricity. So this is what you need to know about the electrical system that was found then in the 19th century. So when they found the telephone system, Alexander distance to another. That's why telephone is distance hearing, because phone is to hear or to speak, phonere. So distant speaking. So hello, hello. So the goal of the telephone was, I am in one end, I call you, and then you are very far from me, but you can hear what I'm trying to say. So that is what telephone became. Telephony, to hear or to speak from a distance. Now, the time Alexander Graham Bell now made the telephone system, he did it without electricity. And then Michael Faraday and other electricians they discovered electricity. Then they realized that electricity can also travel in a line, just like sound can travel in a line. It can be diverted into a line. Because when Alexander Graham Bell built that telephone system, he did what? It was a telephone line. Now remember, when electricity was discovered and telephony was discovered, what was the means of transferring the sound energy and the electrical energy, all of which are natural? Sound has always existed, electricity has always existed. So what was the means to transfer those energies? Because speaking is energy. Like now what I'm doing, this sound, that's energy. And electricity is energy. Then, what was the thing? The thing was, what did they use? Lines. Lines. So there were telephone lines and there were electrical lines. So the electricity, for you to receive electricity in your house, you needed a line that was connected to the electrical source. So the line comes from the electrical source to your house, then you have electricity. And remember, electricity to be in your house, you have to have very many lines or wires, wired system, so that the electricity from the source can go through your house and fires the house, puts the house on. Then for a telephone, you had to be connected to the main telephone system, the telephone line, and they give you a telephone line, and the telephone line is a telephone number. So in the past, when you call a number, you dial a number, the light would, okay, now let me, before I jump. So when Alexander Graham Bell had created the telephone system, and Michael Faraday and Thomas Edison had discovered electricity, these two energy systems were not combined. So if there was no electricity, the telephone would still work. And if the telephone was not working, the electricity would still be there because they were separate from each other. Until the 20th century, the scientists combined telephone lines with electricity. And so, this is when the switchboard was made. And the switchboard system was when you call a number, which is a telephone line. Every number is a telephone line. So when you call that telephone number, there is a main switchboard where many people had jobs. You know, in the 1920s, 1930s, 1910, when switchboard telephony was common, they used to hire very many people to sit in an office. And when the light beams over a number, they take a line, which is your line, which is calling that number, and they connect it. They put it into the switch, the light switch. Because when your line is, hello, I want to talk to John, John's telephone number is different from mine. So my telephone number comes on and then connects to John's telephone number. And then the light will go over John's number. And then the telephone operator takes my line, whereby my voice is connected to that line, and then puts it onto the switch that has John's telephone number. And then John can now hear me and I can hear John. That was how they combined electricity with telephony. And the moment electricity, which I've told you, electricity is an energy system and telephony is an energy system. When they were connected, they became one, like this. That was the end game. That is when television was born. Because television now was about combining light energy with electrical energy and sound energy and putting them into one system. That is what television is. So before that, now what happened? Television was created. It was the combination of telephony, because telephony is just sound energy, electricity, electrical energy, and light energy, pictures. You know, if it's so dark in this room right now, you will not see me. It's because there is light energy. So photography is light energy. And remember, also in the 19th century, photography was discovered. It's so beautiful. If you understand the mysticism behind scientific inventions, you will love the world. So 19th century, light energy was discovered. In the 19th century, sound energy was discovered. In the 19th century, electrical energy was discovered. Then in the 20th century, they combined these energies to flow into one line. Because I've told you, Even to make, to the first camera, which is light energy. Anytime you see a camera, that's just light energy. The first camera, how they used to take photos. Do you know what they needed? A line. The first telephone, do you know what they needed? A line. The first electrical substance, all electricity travels in a line. Line. So the medium was a line. That's how they did it. Sound, electricity, and light. Then when they got better, they did away, like cameras did away with lines. So you didn't need a line to take a photo. So I think the camera was the first one that did away with the line. Then after the camera, then we had the phone. It did away with lines. Like now we have mobile phones. Do you see any line hanging from your phone? No. It's because they did away with the line. And then you have now electricity very soon is going to be wireless. Yeah, it's going to be wireless. Leave alone solar energy, whereby you don't need a line to get electrical energy. They are going to have wireless electricity, whereby you don't need a line to get electricity. That's where we're going to get there. Now, let's go back to the day television was made. So they combined energy, they combined electrical energy, sound energy, and light energy together, because photographs are products of light energy. That's a beautiful thing. Now, that was the television. There was no computer at that time. So when these three energies were combined, a few years later, they wanted to send data to different places. Communication, you see, communication was transformed because of the combinations of electricity and sound and light, especially the communication of sound. And remember, the telegram is also a line technology. What was the telegram? Telegram was to write a letter from a distance. So instead of, because in the past people used to get letters from very distant lands, it would take 3 weeks for a letter that was written 3 weeks ago. You're telling somebody has asked you a question, he has written a letter. How are you doing now? And then that letter is sent to Brazil. It takes 3 weeks from Britain to Brazil. 3 weeks to reach Brazil. Then you write back, I'm doing fine, I'm healthy. Then as the letter is going back to Britain, you fall sick. And you fall sick. And then when you fall sick, the letter that has gone to Britain and is saying I'm fine, you receive it and you're so happy. Oh, the person is so fine. He told me he's fine last time he wrote. And then not knowing the person has fallen sick and even died while the letter was coming on the way, on the ship. So you see, that was a problem of communication those days. People knew that people lived everywhere, but they didn't know how to communicate very fast. So when the telephone was invented by Alexander Graham Bell, and remember, he didn't invent sound energy, he just had to find a way of how to transmit sound over a long distance. Alexander, when he did that, he also invented the telegram, which was to transmit written information over a line. Yes, written information over a line, over a long distance. So this is why now when you go and do a telegram and you say, I am coming to Berlin, when you go to the telegraph station, and I tell them, send that information. Do you know how the information used to go? The letter, it would go through a line. A line. And then the line, telegraphs had telegraph lines, telephone lines, electrical lines, and the camera line. But the camera line died because they now found a way of making pictures without lines. We're going to do pictorial look at how the camera evolved. So now and then that happened. So why did I bring the issue of the telegram? I brought the issue of telegram because now people wanted to get to write letters over a distance of time. So those are the text messages of the time. Texting started with telegrams. Those are the first text message, proper text message. First was, of course, the letter, followed by telegram, and then they wanted to send text over a distance. And remember, television had been invented. So what they did is create the computer. The computer is the combination of a television and a typewriter that was already invented. The computer is just combination of television, the invention of the television, plus the invention of the typewriter. And the typewriter was connected to the television, and that became a computer. Now, the problem was the first computer had a very big brain, because the brain was the store of information. So now the brain is connected to the television and to the typewriter, because even the typewriter was to be connected to the brain. So I'm just giving you a round view of it. So that is how computer. Then remember, they were using line technology. So the computers were connected to each other through lines until satellite communication was created. And when satellite communication was created, that was the end of line technology. Now computers that were in China can be connected to computers in America because of satellite communication. Then at the same time, internet was the same thing, because every telephone network, website network, like internet is just a network of websites, and all of them have addresses, telephone lines. A website address is just a telephone address. A website address is just a house address. All of these are addresses. All of these are communication systems. Why does your house have an address? A postal address? It's because there is a letter network. Letters were supposed to go to houses and every house had a number. Yeah, every house had a number. So digital systems have been in the world for thousands of years. Don't think digital technology is new. It's very old. What makes the digital technology of today new is that the computers were now using digital technology. But before computers were there, postal address is a digital technology, because you could not send a letter to a house that had no number. You cannot call somebody without a telephone number. You cannot talk about a country without counting the number of people. Do you see why in the Bible King David was they said he was not supposed to count the number of army men he had? Why? You see, when you count the number of people you have, you are able to plan for war. Now imagine I count the number of soldiers in my army, and I realize my army only has 500 soldiers. And the war we are going to have, because those guys used to plan for war, I'm going to have with another country has 50,000 soldiers. Do you see what's going to happen? It's not that, for information, it's not that 500 soldiers cannot beat 50,000. They can. They can. It is the type of weapon you have. It is that when you hear that the other army has 50,000 soldiers and you have 500 soldiers, you get petrified and you will not go to war. So King David was, and basically Israel used to be like that. Israel never used to, there are certain people they never used to count. They never used to count the Levites, and they never used to count their army men, especially during David's time. Of course, before David's time, they could count army men for war purposes, for war planning purposes. But when David was king, because David was seen as a very supernatural king, it was like he should not count his army, because if he counts it, he will now behave like a natural king. You know, he'll be planning like a natural king. So they didn't want him to count. So the Bible says when he counted, the prophet was not happy. And there was a very big punishment that came for David. But we're not in theology. Let's finish quickly. We'll talk about that when we're in our theological channel. Now, so what are we saying with all of these things about? I was trying to show you how internet communication came about. It came about with the combinations of all of these energy systems. And then finally we now had, when now you can now send photos through not only satellite information, through wireless or communication. And for information, wireless is not really wireless. It's just that they still use cables. You know, they still use cables. It's just that the cables, you don't need a cable to get information about China. All you need to do is be connected to an ISP, that's an internet service provider, and the ISP is connected to the cable system. That is, and the cable system is the undersea cable system that is all over the world. So all ISPs are connected to that undersea cable system, and then they beam internet access to you without a line. You don't need a physical line cable. All you need is a receiver, called the set box. You know, I'm so sorry, I didn't plan to talk about this, so the terms are a router. Thank you. The words are coming. I didn't plan to talk about it, so that's why I'm just using very simple language. But next time I'm going to do a very good video about it. It's a very important subject. I'm very happy I've touched on it. So you have a router, and the router gets the information from the ISP, and the ISP is connected to the undersea cable, and that cable is connected to the internet of the world. So that's how you get information from all the world without a physical line coming out from your house. Now, in the past, internet service providers used to use the telephone line. That's what you need to know. Now, they are not using the telephone line. They are using the cable that is connected to the ISP, and then the ISP, through satellite technology, transmits information to you. So you get, that's why it's faster, because you are not using a line, you are using waves to get information, because the router is just is picking the information that is coming into the air, which is why people are not happy with 5G technology, because it is very fast, and that means the atmosphere is filled with so many waves, because you know the faster it should be, the more energy, so the more there's more wave energy now because of 5G technology than when it was 4G. So that means, and guess what, if you are the spiritual type of person, that's why you can maybe feel the world is a bit chaotic. It's because the wave energy is increasing, the demand for use of waves in the through the 5G 4G technology. We'll talk about this very well when we sit down and read about telecommunications and wave energy, because that's the energy we're now using. We are actually on waves because of the satellite. They pick the airwaves. So because of that, now we are having, in my view, if you're a spiritual person, you may feel like, oh, sometimes I feel so, my thoughts are not okay. Yeah, it's because the atmosphere is changing. It has changed because the wave energy has changed. Very important to know when there's 5G energy, 5G technology, it is in the air right now. And so the router in your house picks the waves from the ISP satellite or antenna or mast that is sending the messages for you to get internet. So anytime, you know, in the past when ISPs used to use telephone lines, it was very slow because the data has to flow through lines. But now, why is it called wireless? It's because you don't need a wire to get data. All the friends you've talked to on the phone, have you used a wire? No. Do they even need a telephone number? No. All they need is you to have a social media app called Messenger or WhatsApp, and they have it, and they have your profile, and then they call you, because they'll be calling you through the internet, which is wireless. It is not wireful internet. So that's what's happening. That's why it is so fast. I was in a very nice event with the LGBTQ affirming church I attend, and the one of the pastor ladies from America was talking to the school children about reproductive health, and I was very happy. It was the highlight of the day that somebody from America is talking to children in Kenya live, and they see her and they respond back to her, and I was like, the world has gone bananas. We have really, really, really developed very fast thanks to technology. And what have I told you? It is wave energy. It's not even satellite. Did that school doesn't have a satellite. It doesn't have a satellite. So it's not even satellite technology. It is wave energy, because all you need is a router. All you need is to buy bundles. When you buy bundles from the internet, from the telecommunication company that can provide you internet without a line, because the telecommunication companies of today are wireless telephone companies. So when you buy bundles from them, they will connect your device to their system that is connected to the internet, and then you are able to watch anything on the internet because of being connected to the telecommunication company that has, it is an ISP on its own. Oh, it's so beautiful, it hurts. So anyway, that is how telecommunication. That was a short, long, long discussion about telecommunication. Now back to where we want to go, and then we'll finish this video. The So what happened is mainstream media is television, is local television. Please understand that. That is why when mainstream media began, they were national corporations. You see, BBC, British Broadcasting Corporation. It was a government company to provide information to the nationals of the country. So that's what happened in television world. Every country in the world has its own corporation to give information to people. And what is information? Information is pictures, sound, text, all of that. I remember what the other video I did. Data is everything. That's what you need to know. We are data. Yes. Everything is data. This wall, it's data. It has information. It has the color information, the concrete information, stone information, everything that was used to make this wall. And for me, I have blood data, I have water data, I have every hair data, everything you need to know about me is here inside. Physical knowledge of me is inside. Saliva, all of that is data. Everything is data. It's a beautiful world we live in. And all you need to know is to know the data of that thing. Yes, even the stars. You see, you will only know the stars very well if you know what makes that star. The reason why we don't know some stars very well, we don't have their data. But the moment we get to know their data, then we will know. You know, I was asking myself when I was thinking about these things, have you noticed something? That even if aliens exist, or even if Jesus left the earth like he did, you know, he ascended into heaven. Now, if Jesus ascended into heaven and he's a human being, as a human being, why is it, how many years did it take for him to reach heaven? Because a human being, do you know how many, from here to Mars, it takes roughly 3 years. From Earth to Mars, 3 years in a space shuttle. Now, what about if it was you just going into the air to get to Mars? Are you seeing the problem? So, how is it that people go to heaven, just like that, in a twinkle of an eye? That's what the Bible says. In a twinkle of an eye, you will go. So, some people who are skeptical about the ascension of Jesus Christ, let alone the resurrection, they wonder how is it a human being can go up into outer space and never and go to heaven. Now you must understand something, and this is where atheists are respected. The time Jesus ascended to heaven, nobody knew what was in outer space. Nobody. That's what you need to understand. Nobody knew. There was no NASA. Everybody knew that when you pass the clouds, that is heaven. So please understand, that's the problem we have today in the world, is that many people, when they hear, you see, we assume that the people of Jesus' time they were like us. They were thinking like us. Wrong assumption. Very wrong. They cannot think like us. They never had NASA at all. Never had ESA, European Space Agency, at all. They never. So whenever Jesus would tell them the kingdom of heaven is here, they would think it's the sky. They would think Jesus is thinking about the sky. He's saying the sky. So heaven is here. So it's the sky. They will tell him it's the sky. Ah, it's the sky. He's talking about the sky. He's talking about the sky. Okay. So the kingdom of the sky has come. You see, that is how, in fact, if you read the Bible, which we'll do in the theological channel, we will tell you, we will look at the meaning of sky and the time of heavens. But now, and the meaning of heavens in those languages. So these people didn't know what they are talking about. They didn't know, and they didn't know what they're hearing about. Can you imagine talking to somebody and telling that person that there's a world called Abaik, and Abaik has come. So you just tell the person, Abaik has come. Then they look at you and say, humans are trying to struggle. What is Abaik? Sincerely. Is it a person? Is it a thing? Is it a place? You see, language, we all have to have code to know what somebody is talking about. But when I tell somebody heaven has come, the person already in his brain has saved in his mind heaven means up. So when you tell them heaven has come, you are saying, okay, he's saying heaven meaning up has come. It is here. That is what interpretation and meaning is all about. You cannot get the meaning of something if you don't even know what it is. How can you interpret what you don't know? Yes. How can you interpret the word of God when there is no word of God? It's impossible. Interpretation depends on the word of God. Translation depends on the word. The data of God. Yes, it's data. So you only interpret what exists. Data exists. Yes, data exists. Data is matter. Yeah, data is matter. And the only data, why is data matter? It's because it forms what you call virtual matter. You know, words are not, they are very weird. Words, the problem of words is that they are both about tangible and intangible things. That's what you do understand about words. And this is why religion is a very tough thing in the world. It's because it discusses tangible and intangible, known and unknown things. You know what religion is? Religion is algebra. 2y plus 3x plus 4z equals 5y. That is religion. Why am I saying it's religion? It's because it is a mixture of unknown data and known data. That's what you need to know. Can you imagine solving that equation? And let me tell you, in algebra, if you can remember in school, there were algebraic equations that were extremely hard. Let me tell you something. I told you data is everything. Now the new thing I'm telling you, mathematics is everything. Yes, everything. And to understand the world is to solve the mathematical equation. You see, life is a mathematical equation. What do we mean by that? We mean that life can be explained, because everything that exists can be explained. Do you know you can explain the nature of a planet? Yes. That's what you have to do, understand. we can explain the nature of a planet. That is solving a mathematical problem. A planet is a mathematical problem. It's a scientific problem. Everybody is a mathematical problem. Beautiful. This is just all based to data is everything and we are one. Now, you are a mathematical problem. Do you know why do people tell you, you're so complicated? It's because they're trying to solve a mathematical problem. They want to know who are you. So when sometimes they do this with you, you see, if you are a simple person, the moment someone has solved that mathematical problem, they now play with you. They can now manipulate you. You see, that's the whole game we live in. People want to know the mathematical problems called human beings. So once you've known them, game over. You play with them because you know the answer. You see, a 2-year-old does not know the answer to 25 times 300. Doesn't know. So if I'm setting an exam for the 2-year-old, I will set an exam and I want him to fail. I will just give him 25 times 300. He will never pass. He will never pass it because he doesn't know. But I cannot give 25 times 300 to an adult and tell him this is the exam for you to become a mathematician. If you get it right, you will be the mathematician of the world. I mean, come on, it's a simple problem to an adult. But to a baby, 2-year-old, he will even scratch. He will just write things. X, triangle, circles. And then he fails. Then I look, as a teacher, I look at the 2-year-old and say, yes, you see, you're a failure. You don't even understand mathematics. But it's because the child cannot solve that problem. But the moment you can solve a problem, you have solved everything. So that is what I'm trying to tell you. That's why theology is very hard. It's because you are trying to explain something that is not known. Like God. Who has seen God? Who has seen God with his physical eyes? You see, these questions were even asked those days. That's why they're even in the Bible. They asked those questions. Have you seen God? You see? Because if God exists, he should be seen. That is the natural meaning of God. And if not, he should be sensed, at least. But being sensed is not enough because sense has to be universal. Why does Jesus insist that when he comes, everybody has to see him? Why? It's because if he is not seen, then he doesn't exist. Yes. I mean, saying Jesus has come, where is he? You know, that's the, if you go and tell your friend today, Jesus has come, he'll ask you, where is he? I want to see him. Then you'll tell him, no, he has come. But you've told me he has come. Where is he? You see? And if I can't see him, then he hasn't come. So unknown algebra, the algebra of theology. So that's the world we are living in. Why do people want to study about aliens? Have you ever asked yourself that question? Why? Do you know why? It is because somebody saw something like an alien. Or someone saw an identifiable object, UFO. Another one, but those anybody who says he saw heaven, so and you didn't see it, don't pay attention. Pay attention to evidence that they found a UFO. They found a UFO like this. They found it. And they show it to you in all the TV. My friend, when you see a UFO, a flying saucer, and they bring it to you, that this is what fell down from the earth, then know they exist. Just know they exist. And then another thing about UFOs, I'll come back to them. So what am I trying to say? When you want to prove that something exists, please bring evidence. Very strong one. Yeah. That's what Thomas said. He cannot believe Jesus rose from the dead until he sees him and touches the nail prints. Because imagine if Jesus just came and he said, don't touch me and don't see my hands, but it is me. Then Thomas would have said, then you are a fake. You are just his twin brother. I want to know, because I saw Jesus, he was crucified, he was pierced. That's what he wanted. So that's what I'm trying to say. Anyway, enough of talking about the philosophical. You see how philosophical? I said this video is going to be philosophical, and that's what has happened. Now let's finish. So mainstream media, the local television was licensed by the government, because you have to understand something about government. Governments do not invent things. You see, this is why constitution is the most powerful law in a country. It's because the government is not a thing that makes the world. They depend on people. Yes, governments depend on people. Remember Abraham Lincoln? A government by the people or for the people. That democracy is a government by the people for the people. That's democracy, according to Abraham Lincoln. Brilliant statement. Meaning, if there are no people, there is no government. If there are no people, there is no democracy. It's as simple as that. Now, and remember, it's not government by the individual, because an individual is a man on his own. That's why he said democracy. Plutocracy or oligopoly or plutocracy is government by few people. Monarchy is government by one person. Democracy is government by many people. Then we have different types of democracies, whereby even though there are many people ruling, it's a combination of monarchy, democracy, and plutocracy. And that's my view of the governments of the world. They are a combination of monarchy, because you have a president, one man, who rules the country. Then you have the judiciary, a plutocracy, because they are few, they rule the people. Then you have the executive, which is the many people. The legislature, which is the many people. So that is monarchy, plutocracy, and democracy combined. Like that. Combined like that. In a dictatorship, the head of the democracy is, the head of the democracy is the president. The head of the plutocracy, that's the judiciary, is the president. The head of the executive is the president. That's a dictatorship. So in a dictatorship, it's whereby one man is in charge of all the arms of government, or one woman. These days even women can be dictators. Though we are waiting to see one woman dictator yet. So one man or woman or human, to be gender sensitive, is the head of all arms of government. That is a dictatorship. And most monarchies can be dictatorship, but not all of them are. You see? Yes, if you look at monarchic systems like in Buganda, in Uganda, there was the head of the judiciary, and then there was the head of the parliament, the prime minister, and then there was the head of the kingdom, that was the king. That was how Buganda was arranged. And so it was a very democratic monarchy. Yeah, constitutional, all democratic, meaning there's more than one leader. And even religion could be said like that: God the Father, God the Son, God the Holy Spirit. They have their power. They are all gods. You see, that's why Muslims look at Christians and think they are polytheists. And they're not wrong to say that, because they are there is a God, there are three gods. But even Islam, they have the word we, meaning God is in plural. Yeah. So basically there is no monotheistic religion in the world. Even Judaism is also polytheistic. It's not monotheistic. So basically there is no monotheistic religion in the world. Can't be there. It can't. And I think I'm going to write about that. Now, so that's how government is a combination of all of these people: plutocracy, democracy, monarchy. Now, the corporations, TV corporations, mainstream media, they have their own stations that are licensed by the government. Now, the three arms of power of government we've mentioned, the executive, legislature, and judiciary, are the ones who empower these companies to convey information. So, for you to have a television corporation, you go to the government to get a license, because the president can make a law, the parliament can make a law, the judiciary can make a law. All of those, they are lawmakers, they are lawgivers, they are kings. They are empowered to be kings in a country. So you go to the king to get a license. That's why monarchy has never ended. It is forever the system of the world. Forever. Forever. I'm sorry to Karl Marx. I know he wanted a time whereby everybody rules himself. It will be chaos. Very big chaos. Imagine if I can just print my own money, then you can print your own money. I mean, there will be nothing to buy in the shop, because I will go and buy the whole shop and then say, I'm not selling to anybody. I want to survive forever. And then my friend, who has also got 1 billion because he can print money on his own, goes and buys another shop. Now the country has 50 million people and there are only 500 shops. Surely only 500 people will buy all the shops and everybody will die. So only 500 people will live, because have you noticed there is no, in a country of 50 million shops, there are no 50 million people, there are no 50 million shops. Yes, mathematically, there should be 50 million shops. Mathematics is so nice. Anyway, so the governments give these media corporations licenses to convey. Now, this is a very important subject we are dealing with today. Why did TV corporations have to get a license from the government? Do you know why? It is because the time TV was invented, they first of all never had foresight that it would get easier. Secondly, the machinery to set up a TV station was very expensive. and very cumbersome to put up. Extremely cumbersome. Do you know the first satellite to go to air, to space? Oh my goodness. The money America used, the money Russia used. Oh, it was too much. Yes. Till today, countries have never even set satellites because of the cost of doing that. It's extremely expensive, extremely complicated. So, but these stations had to exist legally. So what did they have to do? They get a license. Then the government, because the government is the one that makes money, it can create its money. It got money, set aside money to buy satellite equipment, masts, and all of these things. Then the corporations were created. That's when now the BBC was set. It came into business because of the government of Britain. And American Broadcasting Corporation came into power because of the government. And then all of these corporations, which are government owned, they came into power because few people had money to set up the stations. In fact, it was only the government that could. There is no private corporation that started TV business. Absolutely none. Tell me. The first corporations to show you television and media were government owned because the government has money. Is the richest person in the country. Yes, it is. It is the richest because, of course, in some countries, not all countries, especially countries whereby the central bank is not the government bank. If the central government, if the central bank is the government bank, then the government is the richest person in the world, in the country. Yes, because they have the right to print money. But they don't just print it like that. They know when to print it. But other countries, but very few of them, they have a private bank that prints money for them. So the problem with that, you have to pay that bank for doing that job. But it's really not, it's not, it's still the same because the government has a right to print money. I think the American Constitution empowers the government to mint. They will mint their money. So there's really no problem. Everyone in the world, every government has its bank. Yes. And so it can print its money. And it's only governments that can do that. No individual can print his money. The moment an individual can print his money, that person has become a government and he's very powerful. So that's why counterfeiters are looked for like a problem, because when you counterfeit money, you are actually saying you are a government. Yeah, because you can print your money. Do you know the power of printing money? You can even print your way out of debt. But the problem is, I was even discussing this with somebody on internet, that why don't banks just forgive countries of their debts? And I told them, no, you can't, because a debt is money that has been already released into the system. If you forgive that person for money that has already been released, and then in the name of I can print it back, or in the name of it will come back, oh my goodness, inflation will happen. The economy will collapse. One of the reasons why the world has recessions and all of these things is the money supply. There is always something wrong in the money system. That's why there is problems in the world economy, and it will get better when money becomes more digitalized. Yes, when central banks become digital, that's the end. It will be the end of economic problems, because the money supply will be known. All money
serialized is digitalized, so they will know where it is going and they will know where it is. Now, what am I trying to say? I go to the bank and I ask a loan for a loan. Now, the bank gives me a loan of $50,000. Then I take the $50,000, I hide it under my mattress. I hide it. Then 10 years pass. The bank asks me, but we gave you a loan of $50,000. Where is that money? You're supposed to return it back. Then I tell the bank, oh, life became so hard. It became so bad. I suffered. I got a sickness for 10 years. I could not even walk. I couldn't even do anything. And the bank says, oh, you poor thing. So sorry. Okay, let's just forgive you. You know you were sick for 10 years and maybe use the money. I didn't use the money. So what does the bank do? It forgives me. And I didn't use the money. So now when the bank has forgiven me and written a forgiven letter that this man's debt has been written off, I walk out and I say, oh, thank you. You're such a loving bank. You care so much for your customers. I can't forget. And then when I get out of the bank, immediately I go and buy things with the $50,000. So the bank has lost $50,000 just like that. That's why in most banks, do you know most? So when I was writing to the person on Twitter, I was telling him, this is why banks collapse. When you have a lot of debt forgiveness, they collapse because it is money that was given out. It's a bad loan. So in accounting, when a bank has too many bad loans, it will collapse because the money is deposits. Banks don't have their own money. Banks are rich because of the money of their customers. You see, when people put banks money in the bank has so much money. Imagine everybody has a salary of $20,000 and the bank has 300,000 people. And all these people have the habit of putting half of their salary in the bank. Just think of how much money the bank has. Then the bank keeps that money in the safe. Then somebody says, I need a loan. So the banker goes to the safe, gets that loan, gives this person. He's using your money. That's why we are all united. We help each other. I deposit money in the bank. A friend of mine goes and asks the bank for the loan. That loan is my money that I given the bank. Now, the bank is giving the loan, telling this friend of mine, please return that money because this person here, he kept it and he may come back tomorrow and wants the money. So my friend goes, takes the money, he doesn't come back. It's a bad loan. Then me, I come to the bank and say, I want my money back and I really need my money. And the bank says, oh, you know, let's check. Just come tomorrow because there's something wrong in the system. And then I look at them and I say, no, I demand my money. I saved this money. Where is it? I want it now. And the bank is scratching his head. It's not there. So what happens? People go to the bank, to the court, and say this bank has failed to give us our money. So what happens? The bank is arrested, is charged for, and then next thing you know, the bank is goes under administration, and any money they make from that time is to go to pay back those people. Meanwhile, the banks have to sack their employees because there is no money to give anybody a salary. All the money they have has to go back to the depositors. This is what happened in Cyprus when the Cyprus economy collapsed. And it happens in every country that has a bank run, you know. Yeah, don't play with the banking. Very, very tricky thing. Extremely. Even when you set up a bank, don't think you're going to just make money. You have to be extremely a bank. Don't think you're going to just make money. You have to be extremely sharp to know how to balance between giving out money and receiving money. Because that's a game about life. As I told you in the other economic video, buying and selling. We are all buyers and sellers. Banks are buyers and sellers. They buy your deposit, meaning they get deposits from you, and then they sell your deposit, calling it a loan to somebody. In return, they get more money called interest. That's how they make profit. They make profit by charging that thing they bought from you called a deposit. That's how they get their money back, through interest. Now, if the loan collapses, it means they have made a loss because they have not returned the money that was in the bank. It's like someone has just stolen from you. A bad loan is just theft. So those are the things that happen in the world of banking. So anyway, back to satellite, and then we are done. 5 minutes we go. So the so this is how media companies started. They all started as public mainstream media companies because it was only the government that can print money and therefore buy certain things, you know. Because if we could print our own money, I mean, you'd buy everything you want in the world. But we can't, because the economy is not run like that. It would collapse. Reason being, everything in an economy is limited. You can count the number of Lamborghinis in the world. Yes, you can count the number of Apple phones in the world. You can count the number of laptops in the world. You can count everything that can be bought, can be counted, and therefore is limited. It is finished. So, because of that, the economy plays around with the prices. So, if something is limited, the more limited it is, the higher the price. The less limited it is, the lower the price, because it is in plenty. Like, imagine if sand was a valuable item to use in the house, believe you me, everyone would be buying it, and the price would be so low, and everybody will be selling sand because they will make profit from it, because everybody needs sand. It is very available. Yeah. But Lamborghinis and Rolls Royce, they are limited because of how to make them. It's very complicated to make a Rolls Royce, extremely. And so, because of that, they have to put it at a very high price. Because imagine if Rolls Royce was sold at $500. Everyone would be having a Rolls Royce and they would be finished. And yet, making it is so complicated. So that's why the price has to be expensive, and that's why monarchy is going to be in the world forever. Now, because of the fact that matter is finite. This is why people complain about saying, I told you, no, in the theological channel, I was talking about an atheist friend of mine. He doesn't believe God exists because energy equals mass. So, something with a lot of energy, in his view, must be very heavy. That is his understanding. So he was wondering, how can God exist? You say that he's a great God, he's a big God. So his view is that God should be so big, and because it has a lot of energy, like the sun. Do you know why the sun is very powerful? Apart from being a big star, it's just that it's very close to us. That's what makes it big. But the bigger the star, the more the energy. That is my atheist friend's understanding. So for him, he's saying if God is big, if God has a lot of power, then he must be very big. That was his understanding. And he's right to say that. Anyway, we're not talking about that. Let's finish now with media companies. So that's when BBC, ABC, ZBC, SABC, all of these African and European and American corporations were formed. Then, when satellite technology and telecommunication technology became simpler and simpler and simpler, and people were getting richer and richer, now rich men could buy broadcasting equipment and set up stations. So this was the birth of private mainstream media companies. CNN, look at CNN's name, Cable News Network, because they were using a cable to transmit their news to your house. You see, Cable, beautiful, beautiful name. One of the best names in corporation business is because they show you what was the means of transmission of data. It was a wire, cable, cable news network, Reuters wire, you know. All of these guys, they were just, that time the world was so impressed by wires. You know, they were wondering, oh, wow, look at this wire. It can carry data, it can carry sound, it can carry pictures. Oh, what a thing. So they worshipped the wire. So that's why it was called Cable News Network, a private media corporation. And then which other one in America? You have this, let me see if I can remember American. Oh, and speaking of America, because they have very many rich men, many rich people, they have many media corporations. And then America, because not all the media corporations are fully in America, are fully covering America. Reason being, there are states that have over 10 million people. So as a media corporation, you don't really need to cover the whole of America. Just get one state and you're done. You become a millionaire because your station is famous and it's covering all the 10 million people in the state will watch your station. So you don't argue, you don't have problems. So that's what makes America a very powerful country economically, is that it has 50 over 50 countries that are extremely rich. All the states in America are rich, all. So the lie they give us is that, oh, we are one country. No, there are 50 countries and they are all rich. So that's why they even have stations. Every state has over 50 stations. Radio stations, my God, you can even collapse. Collapse. And it's a perfect system. America is very perfect. If anything, that's why I'm laughing at Trump. I wish Trump just gets, he should carry immigrants to that country. Yes, he should. And if he makes America have 1 billion people within 3 years, Canada wants 1 million people within 3 years, which is highly commendable. Wait and see Canada. Canada is going to be very powerful. And I have a feeling, since the USMC was started, United States, Mexico, Canada conglomeration or collision, I smell a rat. Canada is getting immigrants for that union to be. Don't play with Trudeau. Businessman thinking. Getting more immigrants for Canada so that Canada will have more clout in the USMC system that has been created, which was called NAFTA in before. Now, I gave advice to Mexico. I told Mexico, Mexico should have told America, make us a state. Let us become a state, part of the United States of America. Do you know, till today, contrary to thought, Mexico can actually become a state of America. Yes. All you do is just sign to the Confederation. I'm going to read the American Confederation articles and the articles of that led to the United States, the Federal Union. I smell a rat. If there is an opening that any country in the world can become a state of the United States of America, you know, then if America was a global power that wants to control the world, they would have a clause and say, any country that wants to be part of the American Union, sign up. Then when you sign up, the American system directly controls your country. You start driving left-handed cars. You start using the American US dollar, and you start you become your citizens. Like, let's say a country like Nigeria, they sign up to join the American Union because America is a union like EU, no difference at all. Then they sign up. Even Nigeria has every right to join America. Most blacks are from Nigeria, the black Americans. So they go and tell them, hey, we want our people back, but we can do it this way. Let us sign an agreement. And then you sign an agreement to join the Union of America. So Nigeria signs. Immediately Nigeria signs up to be part of America. Nigeria has become America. And the Nigerians have become American. And the system so no Nigerian needs a visa to go to America. And no American needs a visa to go to Nigeria, because Nigeria has become a member of the Union. Now, right now, America is facing problems with, there are some states that are thinking of leaving their union, like California and even maybe Texas, because they have a lot of money. That's the temptation of leaving the American Union. And then now with this government shutdown, some states, if they are really affected by it, they may not like the federal government and would want to leave. But I'm not suggesting to America leaving the union. I'm suggesting having a system whereby they can allow countries that love their system so much to become part of America. And then, do you know, all the countries of the world, if the American Constitution is that open, and we'll do a video, deliberately do a video about that, all the countries in the world will be American. Yeah, it's possible. At the same time, all countries in the world can become European. At the same time, all countries in the world can become Arabic by joining the Arab League. At the same time, all countries in the world can become African by joining the African Union. That's what I'm trying to say, that these global organizations can actually, you can actually join them if they have a clause that allows you to become part of the union or to leave the union. Like Brexit. Brexit is no different to what used to happen in America with Texas. You see, Mexico had a very tough war with America concerning Texas and New Mexico. You know why it's called New Mexico? It was part of Mexico. But there had to be a war. And once the war was done, New Mexico became part of America. The whole of California, all of that part was owned by Spain. And Eastern America was owned by Britain. So when America wanted now when America had finished with the American War of Independence, they had a problem with the eastern states. So what they had to do is um, either fight or sign concessions with Spain, which was under the Roman Catholic Church, to get all those states into the union. That's why the American flag, do you know it has 13 arrows and 13 stars? Because it was started by 13 states. The number 13, very important number for those of you who like numerology. 13 states started America. That's why the eagle is carrying them. When we talk about America system, we'll discuss all of that. Okay, now we are done. We will now talk about CNN, and then when you go to Europe, you have ITV in England. You have all of these TV stations, and by then they're not even many. They are still few because setting up a television station even in the 1980s was a tall order. Ted Turner and all of these big Rupert Murdoch, when he set up Fox News. Oh, go and ask him how much money he spent. It was a big investment, very big investment, and that was the 1980s, 1990s. Then something was born, and now we've come to the end of the video. Social media. The biggest creation ever. Nobody even thought this was going to happen, but it has happened. Social media was born in the 21st century, because before the 21st century, mainstream media was CNN, Sky News, BBC, all of these corporations. And they never dreamt that they were really going to show us their stuff on the internet. So the only thing people were seeing was the development of television. But never did people envisage a time when we were going to have telephones that could carry television. And this was born when the mobile smartphone was created. Because remember, inventions are combinations of inventions. So the smartphone and even before the smartphone, YouTube and all of these things came because the combination of the television and the typewriter created the computer. Then it created the laptop. Yeah? It created the laptop. A mobile computer. A computer that you can work with everywhere. So before the mobile phone came, then people also thought of actually even the mobile phone was also there in line with the mobile computer called the laptop. So the combination of the television and the typewriter and a phone, a mobile phone that doesn't need a line, because phones could not be mobile because they needed to be connected to the telephone line, which was outside your house and connected to your house. But now the mobile phone, you can work with it anywhere. You don't have to be in your house. So that's what happened. Then the laptop against the mobile phone, they were waiting. Then something happened. Microsoft came creating applications that could connect people, that people could connect to the internet using the applications of Microsoft. And then later on, other software companies now are making what you call applications, because Microsoft was just basically there to help people do office work, because computers replaced typewriters. They replaced them. And now when they were replaced by computers, remember, science invention is a combination of already invented things. So the computer is a television. So people said we can even watch videos, and people are watching movies on the TV, TNT, all of these things. Then they said, but let's watch movies also on the computer. Why I can watch movies? So that's when they made applications that were connected to the TV stations, and then it was game over. Then people started uploading videos to their computers and started making sound, all because of applications. Then something big happened, and now we're in the 21st century. Social media was born. What was social media? Social media is a social platforms to create data that can be shared amongst people. And that's what happened. That's what happened with Facebook. Because when Facebook started, in fact, you should go back and see how Facebook started. It was just a matter of sending messages to each other, and a combination of photography, text, and television, and typewriter, and telephone. All of those things combined. And now, television channels were already there. So the television channels came into the phone, and they came into the laptop. So you don't need to watch CNN on TV. You don't need to. All you need to do is watch CNN on your phone. And CNN, in fact, should change its name because they're no longer using cable. Yeah, you can watch CNN even without buying a set box from CNN as it started. But it's good to let them keep the name to show us the history, how they developed. Now, why did I have to go through almost 2 hours of history? It's because it was that long and that intense. And when they did that, CNN and all of these, of course, these companies, I now have a station or a channel. But I do not have it because of going to the state like Ted Turner went. Neither do I have the muscle, financial muscle power Ted Turner has, because social media is the YouTube and all of these companies that gave us these social media platforms are virtual companies. That's what people need to understand. And they bypassed the governments of the world because of the system they used. The wireless system basically killed control of any companies. That's why the capitalism we have today is beyond control. Completely is gone. Yes. It's gone. It's gone. Nobody can stop it. It has run too fast. Mercury, the planet Mercury revolves around the sun for 88 days. 88 days. It is always running through there. Now, for us, it takes 365 days. So what does that mean? The time we finish one revolution around the sun, the Mercury has already gone through 4 years, and we will never catch Mercury. Never. Never. And that's what has happened to capitalism. It has outrun any system, because the time the governments will try and catch this runaway capitalism through social media, it's too late. People are even hacking elections. You see what happened? Can you imagine? Till now, America is the amount of investigations and things happening in America is disaster. It has never happened that inquiries, investigations are going on, government is shut down, and the economy is still going on. Are you seeing what happened? It's never known. In 1992, what is happening in America would have brought it down. Yes, because they're investigating into Russian issue, they're investigating into the what do you call it, Michael Cohen and all of these things. They're investigating very many things for all this time, and yet the country is still going on. In the past, the Monica Lewinsky saga was the only investigation that brought a standstill to American life. But today, I've stopped following. There are too many things happening. Mueller, Russian, I don't know, Cohen. Ah, then shut down. These are it's what's that telling you? It's telling you the government is has too much to swallow thanks to the capitalist system that is so run away that it is creating so many problems that the government, which is so weak, cannot really solve them. Because I'm really asking myself, Mullah has taken all this time to solve the U.S. election problem from 2016. Can you imagine? All this time. Do you know it's going to be 2020? By the time he releases his investigation, it will be 2020. When it's the next election. It's disaster. It's a disaster. All because of runaway capitalism that was influenced and fueled by social media. Yes, because when social media was born, and remember it was born by virtual companies, and a company is a capitalist organization because they make capital, they make money. The moment that happened, my goodness. How many applications are in the world today? Media, social media applications. Do you know how much money Netflix has made in such a short time? How many applications are there? And for free. You don't even buy them. Free of charge. It's unbelievable. It's too much. You know? And so, what does that tell you? Human creativity has burst so much. That's why even some crimes are becoming so complicated. You know, like hacking. Bitcoin was hacked recently and it led to its slowdown. Otherwise, they would be trillionaires today. But luckily, we are very happy. Apple was the first trillionaire, followed by Amazon. Yes, we are happy about that. At least two companies are now trillionaires, or had they hit the trillion mark. Because my prediction one time was the world has to be rich. For the poor of the world to get rich, we need more richer people. Yes. What I mean by richer people, we need trillionaires. The reason why the world is people are still poor is because the billionaires have not become trillionaires. They were supposed to become trillionaires. If you make the poor people of the world rich, all the billionaires will become trillionaires tomorrow. Yes, that's how it is. So the issue is distribution of wealth, but not necessarily distribution of wealth. It is the improvement. It is to give money, financial muscle to the poor. Yes, you know, you have to understand the poor. The poor are financially feminine. Yes, the rich are financially masculine. Now there is a sex topic we were bringing about. So um, the and that's a is a very beautiful philosophical revelation because financial muscle. So the world has very many very many female economic females because very many people are poor, but it has very few economic males because of the way the system is. And sadly, it will always be like that. The world will always have few rich people and many poor people. So what we do as a world is to improve the poor, not to make them as rich as they, but to make their life better, to be at par with to be a better poor life, meaning all poor people can have access to water, can have a very good house, can have a car. Of course, climate change is now a problem. People are feeling like if cars are really causing climate change, why should people get cars? Then we should really make people get used to public service system. And I'm going to talk about this in the next video today, the clash of theories and ideologies. Because when you are to save the planet through climate change, one of the goals will be not to make people make a lot of money to have money to buy cars. You see? So you'll have to tell the poor, hey, there's climate change. Having a car is causing the planet to collapse. So don't even think of buying a car. Continue staying with public service vehicles until we solve the carbon emission problem. But people who want to support the poor to become rich will say no. We want them to get rich so that people can buy cars. Toyota will say, excuse me, we want people to buy our cars. So don't stop them from making money. Give them money so that they can buy cars. So that's what you need to understand is happening in the world. Okay, guys, I conclude this video telling you this is the reason why we are online. We are a social media platform, media communication station. We are empowered by the social media space that is global. That's what you need to understand. And even if governments can regulate social media content, which they can, because any social media content in a country can be regulated, but it cannot be shut down. Reason being, the you didn't get a license from the government. The government is only allowed to shut down media stations that have licenses from them. Reason being, these television stations do not only purvey information on the internet, they purvey information through televisions. That's what you need to understand. And the television network is controlled by the government. But the internet television is not controlled by the government. That's what you need to understand. That's why even what happened in Congo, wow, this is a very good video we've done. It's going to give us time. We need to sit down and write about telecommunication against government regulation. So you see what happened in DRC? They had to shut down the internet. Why? Why do you have to shut down internet? Because of election. It's because to them, contrary to other people, the real problem is the social media infrastructure or the internet infrastructure. But other countries, it's the opposite. For some countries, it's the mainstream media infrastructure that is more dangerous. than social media. And I agree with the ones who shut down mainstream media. Yes, I prefer that than the social media. Don't shut down social media, because social media, its outreach, especially in places like Africa, is very meager, in the sense that you have to buy bundles to have internet. You have to pay an ISP to have internet, and not everybody really sees it as a need. Many people don't see internet as a need. However, if you're a country whereby you have given all of your people wireless internet for free, there's public wireless internet, and everywhere you go in the country you can access internet for free, then that's where you will now be able to control anything that is on the wireless network, including social media networks. But as long as there's no public wireless system, it becomes very weird to control people who are purveying information on uh, purveying information on a private wireless system, which we are all using right now, because many countries don't have public wireless system, and even if they do, it doesn't mean you should shoot down the private wireless system. So those are the things I've been thinking about when it comes to telecommunication, and it's very interesting how the world has gone through what it's going through. And you don't need a license to blog, to vlog. All you have to do is have internet to do that. But if you and the problem is, this is a very good discussion, because you have to talk about very many things. The problem is, like, now when you look at YouTube, some people have very many subscribers and they're making very good money out of that. And that's that. For some governments, they will only pounce on YouTube and Facebook when they realize there's a lot of money flowing into that system, and then they will want to tax, because that's the job of government. Government always looks for taxation. Yes, that's the life. They have a right. You see, everything they all of these platforms, they are in a country. So a government is just like a sleeping king. It will only wake up when you're becoming very powerful, and to be powerful means you're getting a lot of money. Like, if in a country like, let's say, Benin, the YouTube vloggers become millionaires overnight, my friend, they will tax it that day. But if the YouTube vloggers are still poor people struggling, the government will sleep. They are nothing. They are not a problem. Let them continue doing what they want to do. But when the government is sleeping and then they just hear 5,000 YouTube vloggers became billionaires in 2 weeks, government wakes up and says, "What? How? Billionaires? Okay, let's draft a law. We need to control that market." So that's what they do, to tax. Reason being, nobody should be richer than the government. That is that's the silent secret. Nobody should be richer than the government, because when somebody is richer than the government, they can control it. Yes, that is the game. You see why I used to cry to Bill Gates and say, why don't you come and fund African countries, clear their debt? They can't. They will own the country. As simple as that. One man, yeah, Bill Gates, can come to a country in Africa, pay their debt 3 times. You'll surrender to him. He'll be the king. So he can't do that because of etiquette. Actually, these rich men, they seem to be very, very nice people. Because personally, if you had emperors of the past and they had the money these men had, my goodness, they would conquer countries. Conquer. But these guys, they seem to be very nice. Anyway, that's all we had to say. We'll do a. This was just a philosophical video. It was not scientific, but when we have time, at least I'm very happy I did it. It has given me a lot of work to research on. So we're going to research on telecommunication. We're going to research on social media and the effect and what is the future of what's going to happen, because right now there may be some form of stagnation. It's not that it's stagnation. We're done. we have really we are really going to the amount of inventions coming beyond man's understanding, and it's because of what I've just shared with you. Like, of course, science inventions. Have you seen? All inventions are combinations of things that have already been invented and understood, and that's what's going to happen. Like the smartphone will be, they even make a smartphone that's a pen. As I said in the other video, just go and talk. Hi, I want to talk to John, or I want to talk to Beatrice. Then Beatrice comes online. Hi, Beatrice, you okay? And I just do this. All right, okay, cool, thank you. You see? So that's what's going to happen to the world. The world is going to have um, inventions whereby the smartphone can be in everything, even a book. Imagine opening a book and I in the book I can tap on that thing and it leads me to another thing and leads me to another thing. Of course, tablets are like books, so there's no need of having hard copy books. But generally, that's what you need to know. The difference between mainstream media and social media is that one media platform is licensed directly to the government, and the other one is a global platform that has no government power. There is no, basically, the internet or technology took over the world government. It's done, and they are beyond. They can't. It's finished. So now what they have to do is learn how to reconcile both the technological system and the political system together, so that they can be able to work together. That's where now we are. We are now trying to, government has to have relationships with the social norms to know how to work together. Of course, they've already done that, and some people are not happy with it because they think government is going to be snooping on people. Because imagine if government has access to your phone, you know, that's what people are saying. And they're saying, oh my God, they have access to my phone, you know. And then people throw away the phones, or they throw away the systems that are the gadgets that are being used for snooping. Then they go back to darkness, so people don't even know what somebody is doing. So the government is now left back to square one, because you must understand, governments don't have that infrastructure. They have to pay people like Mark Zuckerberg royalties to use their infrastructure. Yeah, because Facebook would be dumb to give its infrastructure to a government. Yes, unless they are being paid. And they have to be paid a lot of money. Do you know data, human data is extremely expensive. Yes. So you have to understand, that's why there's chaos in everything that's happening. We are in what we call transitional chaos, because the world is supposed to get into a system whereby everything is transparent and everything will be one. The government will be one with technology. That's what's going to happen. Yes, that's where we are. I know people are running away from, they are going to snoop on me. I'm sorry. It's done. It's finished. Everything is known. And at least knowing human beings now, it's known. So there's nothing like running away. You have to leave the planet, you have to leave the world not to be found. Yes, it's that serious. Because very soon, when they now start collecting biometric and genetic details from you, even if you run away, like let's say you're a thief and you've stolen something of high value, cameras are everywhere, you know. So all you need to do, and everywhere where there's a CCTV camera system, there are people who are working there. They come and watch the videos and say, if this person ran away, where did he go? He went here. Ah, he landed here. Then when you have shops and residences that have biometric identification, you go through the biometric data. This person punched the thumb at 3:25. Bring it. You read his fingerprints. The fingerprints tell you everything about that person. Then, once you've got his picture, you now post it on the all television screens in the world. We are looking for Bosco Blangan. And they bring all his details. So what does this mean? And then Bosco cannot go anywhere where it needs fingerprint, because when he will go there, poof, there'll be an alert everywhere that Bosco has arrived. So that's where the world is going. So we are going to technological singularity, human singularity, political singularity. It is singularity and singularity and singularity.